Your guitars are fucking crime, okay? If you live in like Las Vegas, Nevada, right, and you don't have a humidifier, or if you're in like Boston, Massachusetts, and it's like as cold as my fiance's heart with a wind chill of pretty fucking evil, what happens to your guitars? This is one of my favorite guitars. This is like the guitar that birthed 8 children. Can you see all of like the stretch marks? This is what happens. If people want to know, like, does it really matter if I like have my guitar humidified and stuff? Yes. If you live somewhere where it's 45 to 55% humidity every day, like let's say San Diego, no, you can be a fucking idiot and you can just have your guitar sit out and they'll be like, oh, I love you. Because it's beautiful there every day, which is why I want to move there, away from all of this, away from hydrometers, away from humidifiers. In fact, Jim, follow me around here. Guys, you want to see this fuckery here in Massachusetts? Okay. 53%. Now, the proper percentage is really between 40 and 60. 45 to 55 is ideal, but 40 is on the lower side, but okay. And like 59 is getting to be a little bit too humidified, but guitars can be fine at that level. 53 is perfect. But head over here. 39%. What is this fuckery? Because I live in New England, and because of this shitty baseboard heater down here, this is literally substantially less. Now, this is the bottom of okay, and that's the top of okay. But I moved all my acoustics to this side of the room because they are less stable for the following reasons. Do you see this? Do you see this? This is what happens when every single year you have it in the cold and the hot and the cold and the hot. Now, it's not really the temperature that's important. It's the humidity level. So even though you can go out from like 70 degrees to 30 degrees, if it's technically 50% humidity, it's not going to do anything to it. It'll be fine. But if you go outside, for example, and say put this in your trunk and it's like 11 degrees out, and then you bring it back inside, and it has like this nice little sheen of water on it. That's because wood expands and contracts. If you watched Mr. Wizard or fucking Dude Knows It All, whatever the fuck, like, let me explain some science to you. The reason you can't open your door in the winter in Massachusetts is because it swells. Because inside, you have all the humidity, and outside, it's fucking dry as fuck. So like, imagine like one of those Nivea commercials where they have like the crocodile, like my belt coming down like, and they put like all the lotion on it. She puts the lotion in the basket. You put the water in the fucking goddamn humidifier so it doesn't look like this. You could pay the Murphy Lab at Gibson a lot of money to do this for you. And that would make you a sucker. Because honestly, fake aging guitars to me is fucking stupid. Don't get me wrong, there's some beautiful ones. You want your guitar to be aged? Come down to Boston. Go to a fucking anywhere between, let's say, November and March. So half of my existence. And bring this from outside to inside. It's gonna suck. Like literally, so I will actually show you one of the saddest things that ever happened. So one of the reasons I got this guitar was because I literally, this is a true story. Technically, this guitar sort of is owned by one of my friends 20 years ago. And he had lent it to one of his friends who then put it in his trunk in like 11-degree weather and then brought it back inside. And if you notice, there's a beautiful crack. Actually, there's 2 really, really intense cracks. And they were on the back too, right here. And this guitar was so fucked up that when my friend's friend, I won't call him my friend, but when my friend's friend went to drop this off, I went to play it and went like, and I looked down and the whole thing's like fucking caving in. And it's because he literally shocked this guitar. This guitar, like this whole piece of wood, just like came up and it just like snapped apart. And this beautiful piece of Brazilian rosewood just snapped apart. And this mirror image fuckery, because Dum Dum put it in the back of his car in the middle of winter, not understanding that, again, wood expands and contracts. And when there's less water in the air, would go, yeah, pop. Now, conversely, which is not exactly the opposite of, but it's the converse. Like in math, like the shoe. Conversely, if it's too humid, which by the way, has to be like 60% or above, but that can happen. So let's say you're in Florida and it's a fucking wild ass day in Florida, like it always is, because if you read anything like man runs through mall, dick hanging out, stabbing child in Florida. Surprising? I think not. Just like 70% humidity, also not surprising in Jacksonville. So reason is your guitars, again, can become too fat, so they can swell, which will usually cause like your action to be as high as Snoop Dogg, or is that the generic? And I love Snoop Dogg, just so you know. Like, congratulations on being the rapper that represents the 1% of the gangsters. For all of us. Because I'm a gangster too. They start to get really, really high as far as the action's concerned. Because the neck starts to warp. And because all the stuff you'll pick up the strings and it starts to be all like, what the, because they're oxidizing. It's called oxidation. It's actually how most people die. It's true. It's oxidizing. So when you touch it, it's just like, what is this? And it's like, it feels like it's like a slimy, disgusting, and it smells. It's like, what, that metal thing? Too much humidity. But can you get too high? Yes. What was I saying? So the first thing I recommend you do, unless you live in a temperate area, go buy a bunch of these fuckers. They're like, you can get like 12 packs for like $20-something or whatever. You can get a ton of these, 4 or 5 of them. Put them all over your room because again, it's 39% over here, but if I walk over here, now we're at 54. Are you fucking shitting me? So basically this side of the room is like, I'm dying! And this side of the room's like, I'm perfect. And it's like looking over. So you have to understand how obsessive I am. Electric guitars are a little bit more stable than acoustic guitars. So when I saw this, I got really scared because it turns out that this guitar, I buy so many guitars sometimes, I don't know that I do damage to them myself. So I pulled this out, not remembering that this actually had this in it before. And I was like, ah! And I realized it was right near the 38%. I was like, did this crack? Did this fucking crack? And I brought it to my luthier, Steve, who's the best guy ever. And he's like, don't worry, this happened a long time ago. Like, it did? He's like, it's been fixed already. Yeah. He's like, that's actually just the thing that's holding you up. Yeah, or otherwise it was going to cave in. I'm like, so I didn't do it. He's like, no. So I was so happy. But that was after I literally moved every single acoustic guitar to the side of the room. I have another room back there that's my like live room that has all the other acoustics because it's like a perfect 50% everywhere in the room. So I moved all the guitars and then put all my electrics over here that are again more stable because they don't have like, you know, tops that crack. Like you'll get cracks in the nitro and all that, but like this is not going to happen to this guitar in the same way. And it takes a lot. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who do it to actually ruin a guitar so bad that you can't play it. But it happens. So I guess the way I look at it is, like if you're going to try to get it in, say like John Mayer, right? Are you just going to do it all dry? Or you goes it nice and easy? Your guitars are saying, hey man, please just put one of those bags that have like the hyperclimates inside them. You can actually buy for your guitar case. There's these little bags that harden with the chemicals inside that create a perfect hyperclimate. So that if you're a fucking idiot and you want to bring this amazing Taylor Presentation Series guitar anywhere other than your own fucking house, put it in the case and put one of these controlled little climate things that keeps it temperate and wet. Because as any lady will tell you, you don't lube it up, don't go in easy. And in the words of Whitesnake, I like to slide it in right to the top. Why don't you smash that subscribe button already?